Sono molto contento di dare un benvenuto a un grande avvocato di Washington, Chris Todd, della Kellogg Hansen Weigel e Frederick di Washington. Benvenuto e buonasera, signor Todd.
Buonasera.
Avvocato Todd, potrebbe dire due parole perché lei ha avuto una carriera affascinante, è stato, se non sbaglio, uno dei top procuratori magistrati nel scandalo Iran-Contra, indagare sul vicepresidente George Bush e anche su Oliver North. Mi descrive la sua carriera brevemente?
I was a federal prosecutor for almost a decade, or a little over a decade, first with Rudolph Giuliani in the United States Attorney's Office in New York City as an assistant United States attorney. And I chased mobsters, I chased drug dealers, and fraudsters. And then I was asked to join the Iran-Contra investigation, and I became what was called the chief of the White House National Security Council team, which was focused on Oliver North's cover-up of the wrongdoing during Iran-Contra. And yes, he testified in the grand jury. I was there. I also interviewed George Bush at the time that he was the vice president. He just announced that he was running for president when I was interviewing him. And then from there, I went into private practice, and I've been in private practice with this law firm for a long time.
Allora, lei è l'esperto perfetto per noi, avvocato, a spiegarci una cosa che non è così chiaro in Europa, cioè quali sono questi 4 processi che Trump deve affrontare a Washington, Atlanta, Miami e New York? E cosa significa questo processo di processi durante la campagna elettorale? Come lo vede?
The former president is charged with 4 criminal cases, one in Washington, D.C., having to do with the January 6th attack on the Capitol, one in Miami, where when he left office, he took highly confidential classified information to his home down in Mar-a-Lago, and then he permitted it to be exposed to whomever, but it was a crime for him to do what he did. Then the one in Georgia is a charge by the district attorney there in Georgia, or the attorney general, who say and allege and have significant proof of the fact that he told the big lie about the election and said it was fraudulent and convinced a lot of people. A 5th case, it's a civil case in New York City, which endangers his economic and real estate empire.
Cioè, in quel caso a New York potrebbe perdere addirittura Trump Tower.
Correct.
Ma come vedi questa campagna di 2024 fra Biden e Trump? Trump sarà il candidato secondo lei? E come sarà questo andare fra processi ai comizi? Come lo vede, avvocato?
Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee. It's still unclear whether or not Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee. Everything points in that direction. But as I've told friends, Republicans, or at least the Republicans that I knew and were friendly with, they're not stupid. And Donald Trump, if he is the nominee, in my judgment, cannot win the election. He didn't win it last time against Joe Biden, and now he is indicted 4 times. He's going to be convicted, in my judgment. And the reason I say that, although you hear a lot of noise in the press and the speculation, it's very simple. As a federal prosecutor, I tried a lot of cases. He's got to defend a case where the evidence against him in all 4 cases is really overwhelming.
Ma sembra da qui che non importa tanto ai suoi follower che lui sarà condannato o processato. Pensa che quello cambierà?
For the hardcore, it will change very little. I'm hopeful, and being the optimist that I am, I think that once you get into the trials, and for example, in the January 6th trial, the evidence that will be presented in a public forum will have to change the minds of even the most hardcore. But even if it does, he doesn't have enough votes just from the hardcore to become president of the United States.
Ma quindi lei veramente, avvocato, crede che Biden potrebbe vincere, potrebbe battere Trump? Perché?
Because Trump's MAGA supporters, his core support, is not enough to elect him president of the United States. He has to convince independents. He has to convince another segment of the voting population that he's the right person to be the leader of the free world. And it's not going to happen. What he's going to be convicted of, the evidence that's going to be shown in these trials, and the fact that he continues, in my judgment, to be his own worst enemy about what he says about Biden, about others. He's not going to attract enough votes to become the president again.
E poi un'ultima domanda, perché in Europa ci si chiede se Biden potrebbe veramente continuare a appoggiare militarmente l'Ucraina. C'è un nuovo speaker della Camera, Mike Johnson, contro gli aiuti in Ucraina. Come lo vedi lei, avvocato? L'Ucraina avrà l'appoggio degli Stati Uniti o no?
Yes, I do, and I feel that strongly because, first of all, supporting Ukraine, as with supporting Israel, that's the right thing to do. It's the moral right thing to do. But also as a practical matter, supporting Ukraine, the United States has an opportunity to defeat Putin, defeat his armies without having one boot on the ground in Ukraine and without jeopardizing a lot of things. And so it points in the direction that, yes, the Republicans will come to their senses and support Ukraine as well.
Quello che ha detto è molto cinico, se ho capito bene, che questo è una specie di anche proxy war per gli Stati Uniti, che non devono mandare i soldati americani, ma possono sfidare Putin attraverso sulle pelle degli ucraini. Ho capito male?
No, that's correct.